We call the meeting of the City of Groton Water Pollution Control Authority for the November 6, 2017 to order. Clerk Patrick, please call the roll.
Present are Mayor Keith Hedrick, Deputy Mayor Lawrence Garish, Councilors Jill Rusk, Jamal Beckford, Stephen Sheffield, Conrad Heed, Rashad Carter, Finance Director Ron Huas, and Clerk Deborah Patrick.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 2nd, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is review management report dated November 2017. You want to present, Kevin?
Yeah, we're going to split it up. I was going to talk about the tours, the nitrogen, and the Twin Hills pump, and then Rick was going to fill you in on the break of the marine pump off.
Okay, great.
So the nitrogen, you know, as we promised you, is going back in the right direction. We're really making good numbers. We had that one blip in July, which was, you know, attributed to that tank, and we've corrected that situation so that could never happen again. So the plant's running good. The Twin Hills, we were able to finish up the second pump. So that pump station actually is essentially, it's got a relatively new generator. The roof's all replaced. And we got the two new non-clogging pumps. So that's in pretty good shape. What we are going to look into is down by the beach to harden ourselves up. We do have a slight issue, not like we did at Twin Hills with those pumps plugging. So in essence, during a storm, we can watch on SCADA, we submarine hatch the whole place up. But the big problem is when we're watching back at the plant, we can't get down to that area. You can actually watch the pumps plugging as it's going. So we're going to get, and we'll keep you abreast on, what cost is. We have no clue without getting somebody to come down and look.
Sure.
So we are going to look into that in the future. But we did finish up the Twin Hills, and I've also been asked to do a presentation at the NUIA conference up in Boston. I mean, they were pretty impressed with the fact that, with a staff of 6, that we were able to do those jobs ourselves, from everything from, speccing out and getting the pump and working with project management and, getting everything approved through you guys,
Yep.
pouring the concrete, installing it, having our electricians wire it. So well, with the help of the younger guys, I'll put together a PowerPoint and speak about that up in Boston. And then on the tours, we've been doing quite a few. I did want to talk a little bit about the Coast Guard Academy. We have had a great working relationship with them for years, and they requested to use the plant for a grad student project. So we had 2 officers there, and we also had 2 civilian professors. So they're going to do a write-up, because what happens with the past 2 mayors, when they do a project as such, it's an agreement that the mayor will have to sign, but in essence, our lawyers have looked at it years ago, and what it just says is that we would never use anything that they did for profit. It's more on their end than our end. But it's a standard one, and I'm sure you can dig up the ones that Mayor Pop and Mayor Galbraith had signed. So we're going to end up, but anyway, their project is pretty cool. They're going to take the algae that grows in those tanks, and they have a way they feel that they'll be able to monitor the algae and be able to know what the nitrogen is and the effects that it'll have out in Long Island Sound on the algae growth. So they promised me they'll write up the scope of what it was, because after about the first 3 sentences, it was so far over my head. That's basic layman's terms, but they were talking about all kinds of stuff that was way over me with the chemistry and stuff.
Sure.
But nitrogen in wastewater is specific. It's a specific kind of nitrogen that they feel as though they'll be able to measure in the algae itself.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool, and we'll keep everybody monitored with that, and I think it's going to be a great project, and kudos to the city of Groton that with all the treatment plants they could partner with, they've always partnered with us. They've been great to us, and we treat them well too.
So you're right. We've always had a good relationship with the Coast Guard. I agree.
It's great, yeah. So, is any questions on my end as the plant is running, and Rick will
Councilor
address it?
I guess I just have a question on the study. What happens after the study is created? Does it is it released to the public, or is it?
Well, as grad students go, you know, like I say, I graduated from tech, but, you know, as a grad student project, I think, you know, it goes, I don't know, Rick could probably correct that.
Yeah, usually what would happen is graduate studies, you write a paper, and then that would be hopefully published, but it would be shared in academic communities. And
Oh.
then wastewater plants would be available to get that. Kevin's done other research work that's been shared at conference levels.
I wonder if there's any way we could get a copy of that since we were the host.
Oh, sure, yeah, oh, they definitely,
that's
they
what
always
you're
give
looking
us
at.
all the
I
copies.
think part of the question is,
Yeah.
so, I mean, based on what comes out of the study, do we have any reaction? Do we do anything with this, or?
No, like I say, just that we were able to help the benefit ultimately of Long Island Sound. That's ultimately what they're looking at, is the effects of, you know, nitrogen strictly in wastewater and the algae growth, which causes the dead zones and hypoxia out into the river. But by all means, you know, we'll get a copy of it. In fact, I'm sure we can get somebody here and do a presentation for you.
I think that'd be tremendous.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Because I think the council would like that. And also, you know, if there's something we can gain from it, or lessons learned, or best practices, then we can continue to do that and continue to keep our nitrogen levels low. I mean, if you, at the end of the year, if you look across the state, we are one of the few facilities that gets money back, right? There are a lot of people that are paying
Correct.
credits.
Yep, yep. And the fact that we aren't one of the ones that were, you know, funded by the state to remove nitrogen. You know,
Right.
a lot of it was done on Jim's behalf and, you know, operator ideas and ingenuity with that.
Right.
But, yeah, with the Coast Guard, yeah, a big part of their curriculum is public speaking. And I know that Director Gaudet and Rick Stevens have both gone with me. They do a senior design project every year where they're looking for me to bring people. So if anybody
Sure.
on the council ever wants to go, I'll contact you in the spring. But it's pretty good. You go over there and they have about, you know, 10 groups of 3 cadets that do a project topic that I usually pick, and they do the presentations and stuff. And yeah, it's important for them to be able to present and
Good.
be able to get their message across. So
Great. Anything else for Kevin?
Just
Councilor Heath?
a question on, to get a perspective, on the collection system, page 9, right at the top, there were 445 feet of sewer mains cleaned in the month of October. Is that average, above average, and how many feet of sewer mains are there?
actually, that would be
Yeah.
more Rick, for Rick.
I can answer that. So there's approximately 30 miles of collection system piping, and our goal, we have a task force with our employees, and our goal, I think the last time we met, right, Kevin, we had a 10-year plan?
Yes.
Yes. 10-year plan, and actually, probably, we're actually way ahead of that. And it is a seasonal consideration too, obviously. So I just wanted to address.
But,
oh, I'm
but
sorry.
also, during the cleaning, aren't you guys also doing inspections?
Absolutely.
So, some of the council may remember in the past where during these inspections, we've identified where there may be breaks in the lining and things like that and require, or cracks where they can check it and then use it as predictive indicator for premature failure, and then therefore go and do the corrective maintenance.
We'd be happy to return with that again, just to bring it more to light, since that report is, you know, just, it's pretty consistent. And we work with Ron on the capital improvement plan, identifying some of those more critical areas.
Any other questions or comments on the sewer part of it? Okay, Rick, please continue.
So there were 2 issues that I worked with Kevin to try to look at. I think, Mayor, you had asked to find out about the marine pump out.
Yes.
So I apologize for the long narrative, but it was important, I think, that we document everything that happened. First of all, you know, on the good news end of it, I think Kevin and the crew did a great job staying at budget. So for this year's, and it is a calendar year, the voting season, the grant period ends in January 1st. For this year, we applied for approximately $24,000 as a grant, and then we would have matching funds. It's a 25%, 75%. And we did that because Kevin, working with project management, forecasted some critical work that needed to be done that had been put off on repair of the dock. So there's the normal standard, deliver the dock and then take it back in winterization. But this time they recognized some major maintenance that had to be done. So Kevin was able to take the reduced budget and get all of the maintenance done, the routine as well as the more drastic maintenance done, pay for everything and to stay on budget. Because the labor is part of the PAF budget there for the part-time dock help. So this year, we normally receive, it's usually this time of year, and I think I included a typical letter. We normally receive a letter from Deep that says, great job on this year's, and we're going to be sending you all your application material forthcoming. We get the application material. Between Kevin and project management, we fill it out. It all goes to Deb Dan, the director's office, or Tara, and gets filed with Deep. Then they come back with what they can afford in your program. This year, we just received one email, and it just went to an individual, and they passed it on to project management, and it had a few links. When you click on the hyperlink, you come to, it says, this grant would be for state and national organizations. The grant ranges between 30 and 190,000. Now that's totally out of our range that we normally apply for. So we were waiting for the normal letter that we received. During that time, we were informed that the money they had for grants was readily reduced by the state budgeting process, and that there was no other funds available. So what we've done is Kevin and I are going to go to Old Lyme, and we're going to talk to the Deep person, Kate, who's in charge of that program, and we're going to share this information and see if there's anything we can do. I met with Ron Uhas. We went over. Ron said, give me the worst case scenario. So the worst case scenario would be we would budget like we always do for the labor, and that's kind of our 25% share cost anyway. That's in our budget. The financial obligations we'd have for next year, pending no disasters, would be to bring the pump unit back, and then when we're done the season, to take it back in the winterization fee. Because we did a lot of maintenance this particular year. Kevin was able to get everything done. So we're going to go try to get there this week, meet with Kate, and we'll be able to report to the mayor and WPCA on what our success is.
So what you're saying is right now, we do not have any funds because we missed the window.
Yes.
So but we're going to go to DEP and we're going to plead our case, and hopefully they'll have some funding, or hopefully we'll be able to get something.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And the other item I'd like to report on is there was a sewer break on Lytton Avenue, which I'm sure you all know. So we responded very quickly to that emergency. We had to bring in an outside contractor because the 8-inch sewer main is very deep, and the water main is also located in that area. So we have a description of the break. We have the total costs. I believe it was around $14,000 to repair the 6-inch water main, the 8-inch sewer main. And then I had one of the project managers forecast the repairs. The repairs would entail moving the water main to the other side of the road, and then just repairing the sewer main, and then abandoning that section of water main. So what I will do then when developing the CIP is I'll work with Ron Uhas and have all that information updated and present that to him when we're planning for the CIP, unless the WPCA would like us to proceed at a more accelerated rate.
Any, Councilor Rush?
I'm sorry, can you walk me through that one more time?
Sure.
So you had the sewer main break, you moved it to the other side of the road.
No, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't explain that right. So the sewer break, because when you excavate down, Jill, the water main's on top of the sewer,
Okay.
is deeper. So we had to like cut the water main, move that out of the way temporarily while we repaired the sewer main. then repair the water main in place. To go back and repair the sewer main correctly, we would relocate that whole section of water main to the other side of Lytton Avenue, and then replace the deteriorated piping on Lytton Avenue, the sewer piping.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
that's where the $75,000 estimate is
Yes.
coming from? Okay.
The 14,000, as I understand it, is temporary fix. That just fixes the immediate
That's right,
problem, right?
exactly.
Mhm.
That was the break that was just occurred.
Any other questions or comments on this? Councilor Sheffield?
How soon would you like to start for this future project,
It's up to the advisement of the mayor and WPCA. If you'd like us to proceed with this and put it out as a project, we can come back then with the hard costs to do this, and you can prioritize it whatever way you deem is the responsible way to do it.
Well, I think one of the things we need to do is we need to look at this compared to the others, look at what the potential failure of this is, and then if this needs to be prioritized, it needs to be prioritized.
Right.
But we need to get the guys on the deck plate to provide some advice on where to go. I mean, these guys, they don't have expertise in replacement of sewer pipes. I mean, they're smart enough that they recognize predictive failures and those kind of things, but we need to have enough information in which they can make a decision. But the priority usually comes from the utilities.
Right,
Right.
I meant the financial aspect of the 75,000. I think that's what I was,
Well, here's the deal. What may happen is if this now becomes emergent
yes.
or urgent, depending on what you want to use, that may mean that this $75,000 now comes out of the budget, and you may have to drop a project or two off.
Right.
Right? I mean, sometimes there are projects that we have on our project list that need to be done, but imminent failure is not predicted, right? I mean, this just failed. This was a temporary repair. It appears that this is high risk for future failure soon. Relative soon is a relative term, obviously, but so this should probably be moved up on the list.
Exactly.
Okay. Council comments? Is that reasonable?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I got a
Go
question.
ahead,
for
Deputy Mayor
Sid.
Garish.
Is that a real old system on Lytton Avenue?
Yes,
I'm
it is.
assuming that it is.
It is.
So are you looking to replace the whole thing, or?
Yeah, it's, right now, I think we forecasted that it would be pretty much that whole area, yes. So the total linear feet would be 170 linear feet, and that's 225 linear feet of water main. So it would be a joint project.
I mean, it would seem reasonable that if it's
Yeah.
that old and it's starting to fail, that
Right.
you would do
Right.
the whole thing.
And you just saw we incurred the 14,000 just for the one repair.
Well, and
Right.
one of the things that I've asked utilities to do is we need to look at a 1, 3, 5, and 10-year plan for infrastructure. And I'm looking for a master infrastructure plan. I'm looking at water, electric, sewer, gas, phone, cable, and roads. That way, and it's going to be a challenge because you're trying to coordinate a whole bunch of different teams and groups. But what I'm trying to get to is that so that when we dig up a road one time, we go in and we repair everything in that area and we get it fixed. Even if we have an emergent break and we have something else that's not due for maybe another year or two, while you're there, you dig it, you fix it.
And you leverage the paving.
And you leverage the paving so we're not, because we are patchworking our roads and that's killing us because it's expensive to do roads. Now, I'm also trying to work with John Burt, the town, so that we can work with this across the road, because the utility has utilities in the town as well, and work with that. And Eversource is trying to run gas into different places. So one of the things I think where we can, if we can get everybody together, so we can leverage and say, look, we'll help you talk to Eversource, we'll help you get somewhere but we would like you to go into this area first, because we know we have some water issues, some sewer issues maybe, but we have a couple areas where we've had history of water main breaks. So let's just go in there and dig it all up, get it fixed one time. You're in there, you're out of there, zip beep, you're done. That's the smart way to go about doing business. We're not quite there with our list, but that is where we're going.
The newsroom, Deputy Mayor Bush's comments, could I recommend that we return back to the WPCA with the updated capital improvement plan, which includes the items and areas in the collection system that are critical, and then we would be able to rank that, if there's a lot of other areas as well to look at. We could include the age of the piping on that, as a signature for that, but we could return next month with the updated collection plan. I'll work with Ron Uhas, integrate that with the CIP, and then you'll really get to see the total picture of 30 miles of piping what needs to be done.
I think that, like the mayor was saying, I mean, if I'm correct, I mean, we just spent a lot of money on Lytton Avenue repaving and everything, and it's a shame to have to dig up and patch. So what he just said makes a lot of sense. Let's do it once and do it all and get it done correctly. And I know that would require a lot of planning and investigating into the areas that would need that attention.
Actually, what's ironic,
too, we can do the design ourselves, and we can do the estimating, getting it firm, and we can do all that in Groton Utilities Project Management.
actually, the ironic thing is that where they have replaced the sewer, we just put new sidewalks in.
Right.
And when the storm happened, there were 2 trees that blew down in Lytton. And one of the trees, when it blew down, it actually lifted up the sidewalk that we had just replaced.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes you do the very best that you can, and you still get help from Mother Nature, and you have to go back in. But I agree with you 100%. This is what we're looking at. This is the way that we're moving forward, because we're trying to look at this like a business. How would a business do this? What's the efficient way? What's the cost effective? Those kind of things, and we are doing that. Any other questions or comments for Rick?
Rick, regarding the power outages, is there was there any potential environmental impact with the PAF regarding when the power was out?
So I think Kevin would be appropriate for us to answer that.
Everything, we had actually one on-call guy come in, and he stood by, watched all the generators, made sure everything was good. He needed a second guy.
You never lost power down to PAF, right?
I think we did for a little bit, but it was just a blip on and off.
Okay, that's
so what they do is when it's blipping and transferring like that,
right,
we'll go right to generators so it doesn't hurt any of the switch gear
right.
and stuff. That
way they manually go to generators so that you don't have the switching and the possibility of switching failure. That answer your question?
Yeah, just because I read there was one of the calls, I guess, was a power outage.
Yeah, correct. At one point or another, everything had lost power. The generators had come on. It was just a matter of how long they ran.
Right.
I think the very last one was down under the bridge. I know that. But at one point they all ran, and we also put in the stop gates down at the beach because the water was over. Got involved for a little while.
But Councilor Shepherd, there was no environmental reporting. There was no, variation in any regulatory requirements.
Okay. Any other questions for Rick? Okay. Old business? Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Okay, in that case, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We are adjourned.